Just getting ready. We're going live, getting set up. I'm very excited to chat with everybody today. Just making sure I'm live. Ready. We're going live, getting set up. I'm very excited to chat with everybody today. Just making sure I'm live. Ready. We're going live, getting set up. I'm very excited to chat with everybody today. Okay. Woo! I believe I am live. So let me just see if I can make myself see the chat while I'm live. Hey. All right. Cool. All right. Welcome, everyone. Happy 222. Wow. Here we go. Are you ready for the 222 on a Tuesday, huh? Pretty exciting. So I'm so excited that there's so many people talking about this energy. There's so many wonderful places for you to go. First of all, yourself, right? To discover what that means for you. Hi, Brooke, how are you? I got your email. I'm responding today. So no worries. we'll get ourselves all set up, but thank you for being here and lots of love to you. Okay, so interesting times, right? And there's even a Confucius saying, may you live in interesting times, but according to the ancient Chinese philosophers, they decided that was a curse. And we're like, no, we're gonna break that. So what I did this morning is I got awakened very early, and Tuesdays is the day devoted to the planet Mars. And so I had a wonderful time with Mars this morning, chatting away, asking for his input from the consciousness of the planet Mars, which in astrology deals with our inner masculine, or the externalized masculine, which appears in the gender form as a man. Mars is the planet that rules Aries, ancient ruler of Scorpio, as well as one of the 7 original luminaries. So the consciousness of Mars is passion, courage, bravery, ability to jump into action, the warrior, the spirit warrior. When Mars is out of balance, it can turn in on itself. That passion turns into destruction or aggression or violence, or control, power over instead of power with. All right. So especially because 222 falls on a Tuesday, there's definitely a need to say hello to Mars. And so when I begin to look at the chart for the return of the Pluto's return to the USA chart using the Sibley Chart, which is July 4th, 1776 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I'm going to be giving a shout out to the Mars vibration and what's happening in that space. But first, what I wanted to do is kind of open up this sacred space, our circle together in this video, to talk about what is happening from an esoteric place. There's lots of layers involved. That's why this is going to be several parts. So the video talking about today's energy and what it means to us, especially those of us who live in the United States of America. We do have friends in other countries around the world here in Lunar Ladies, and I'm so happy about that because I love the global perspective, right, of our collective human experience. And so looking at the energy of, I used the Mystical Shaman Oracle deck this morning. And then I've also been walking the Celtic spirit way. This is a calendar of every day of the year with a Celtic teaching, right? And so the teaching for today is very interesting with what the cards had to say. So I'm going to open up this circle. Hi, Sherry, welcome. I want to open up the circle just with a message from the cards, and then we'll jump into the chart. And this is just a first hello. There'll be several hellos to this chart and what's happening for us here in the United States. And what are the opportunities, not only for shift changing and taking quantum leaps, but what's the opportunity for that 222 power potential that we can actualize every month this year on the 22nd day. So Celia Fenn was talking about, the portal opened on January 22nd. Today's February 22nd, and in my feeling, it's going to go throughout the whole year. So we're going to have March version of the 222. We're going to have April's version, May, June, all the way to December, where it culminates on winter solstice. So I think that that's really interesting, don't you? Okay, so I broke up, I'm using a philosophy that I'm tuning into from messaging from my dreams. So those of you who don't know, I'm in a dream worker course. And so I'm heavily studying my dreams and developing my own dream dictionary and creating my own personal symbols. So, a lot of us, when we come in and say, oh, I had this dream, and what do you think it means? Well, you're going to find out what it means for you when you develop your own symbols, dream interpretation dictionary, right? And it's really powerful. So I've been really having fun in the dream state since January. Okay, so from the dream state, there's a philosophy that I'm being taught in the dream. I'm calling it the silver trident. But the first one is to ask, what is the energy or the messaging for personal enlightenment for this time now, right? Hi, Melanie, welcome. I got your text. I'll text you back. I was thinking about you too. I hope you're doing good. I'm glad you're here, able to watch the live. All right, so the first set of cards and these all popped out. I was just shuffling, asking Mars, talking to Mars, and these flew out. So I'm like, okay, these are from Mars. And so I thanked him profusely for that. So the first set of cards has to do with what's our message for our personal enlightenment individually. And the first card I got was the Beauty Way. Beautiful card. So those of you who have this deck, this is number 4. The Beauty Way. This is the deck I'm using, the Mystical Oral Shaman by, or Mystical Shaman Oracle by Alberto Villadova, Colette Baron Reed, and Marcella Lobos. So I got the Beauty Way. That's a beautiful card, right? You can see that, the dragonfly, the lotus. And I love this because it is an indigenous teaching, the Beauty Way. And so this basically, the medicine is when you're working on yourself, and you may have an internal struggle or a struggle in a relationship with someone or something else. It asks you to identify something beautiful so that you can recenter, recalibrate, and re-experience what's happening in the moment now. So say if you're struggling with something internally, go find something beautiful every day, because that beauty is medicine. It shifts and changes you internally, so you get an inner shift, so that your higher consciousness now in place, because beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and beauty brings a feeling of love and harmony and connection. So surrounding yourself with things that are beautiful, walking the Beauty Way, is doing that every day. And that's a way to find inner enlightenment, step 1. Step 2, meaning 2 cards popped out, was the Sweat Lodge, number 54 in the Mystical Shaman Oracle deck. Sweat Lodge. I thought this was so beautiful. Yet another indigenous teaching. And this, the medicine in the book was sharing that it's a reconnection to the womb of Mother Earth. So this is like a one-time, get out of jail. This is like saying return to your core root soul connection to the womb of this planet, which is Mother Earth. That is a way to heal, and your personal enlightenment is to walk the Beauty Way and return to the Sweat Lodge, which is rebirthing yourself as a soul, having a human experience on a paradise planet called Pachamama, Mother Earth. All right. So I thought that was beautiful. So the second set of questions was, what's the Dharma, or the spiritual teaching? Right? What's the spiritual teaching for this time of the return of the Pluto, of Pluto's return in America's current government's charts, not the country or the land itself, that goes way, way, way back, but the current government's birth chart. All right, and that's what we're going to look at here in a minute. So 3 cards popped out, and I thought that together the trio was really interesting to answer the request of what's the Dharma, what's the spiritual teaching. First one was sacrifice, number 44. And sacrifice is about, according to this teaching, this medicine, is what do you love so much that you will give to the that you will offer to the altar of God, right? In the old days, they did it, in my opinion, ass backwards, right? This is giving something you love, like your heart, in honor. It's a sacred offering. It's not blood and sacrifice. It's a sacred offering. So they teach that in this card. So what is it that you hold most dear as something that you would offer up to the collective or the spirit of this country? And, you know, only you can answer that. So the sacrifice. The second card was the blade, right? The blade. And that's number 6. And so I thought this card was very interesting. It said, it took the blade out and said, know that you are powerful. You have power. But when we're in this Pluto's return, we cannot use the blade if we have toxic emotions, unworked out stuff. We can't rebirth this country from a toxic place, right? Emotional place. So that's like protesting and getting angry and setting things on fire and looting and destroying. That's a symptom of toxic emotion, internal and landscape of toxic emotions. So the medicine is to put the sword away until you can heal what's inside. Get back to the beauty way, go to the sweat lodge. What will you put on the altar of grace that is most dear to you? Okay, the third card for what is the Dharma, spiritual teaching, is the curse. Isn't that interesting? Number 14, the curse. And so when I saw this, at first I shuddered. And then I went, okay, wait, back it up. I love this card because, you know, we see the indigenous people, you know, that's one of the symbols for the indigenous women who are murdered and never looked up. Their cases are never solved because they're not deemed value enough, right? So I thought this was a really interesting card. And the medicine in the book, if you have the book, talks about the past, our ancestors, the lineage. So in relationship to Pluto's return, what are we healing? We're healing the curse of the past, all the pain and suffering. We've had wars in this land, starting with the indigenous people, genocide. How do you recover from genocide? Then we had the Revolutionary War. Then we had the Civil War, or the enslavement of African people, right? Then we had the Civil War. Then we have, you know, world wars. Then we have economic and class and wars. And what's the war happening now on our soil is the race war, right? As far as looking at this country. And then we're also looking at a global event, war with Russia, right? So this also spoke to me with her hand over her mouth. Yeah, pull these cards. So good, Tamara. Oh my God. I want to hear your take on it, right? Your intuitive is so powerful. So please share if you feel called. Yeah, so these 3 cards together, right? Sacrifice, the blade, the curse. Whoops. I'll post them too as pictures. But this was also looking at what are we continually cursing ourselves with. So when I looked at even the symbol of the hand on the mouth, watching our speech, right? How many curses do we say a day? If we get out on social media and say, F this and F that, and I'm pissed off. What is the energy that's coming out? Is it the energy of a curse, right? Or a spell? So we want to heal, we need to heal the curse to rebirth with Pluto. Now it's interesting when I talk about the nature of Pluto right after we're done with this reading. But look, you know, meditate on this and what does it mean to you, right? Healing the energy of the past on the soil. All right. Cards are showing a lot of number 4s. Yes, right, Brooke? That is such a, oh my gosh, thank you for seeing that. A lot of 4s. 4s are foundational. 44, 14, number 4, 54. Oh my God, you are so right. Thank you, a wise one. I needed to hear that. You're my angel messenger today. Thank you for that. All right. So the third part of what I was asking Mars for help was, what's the Sangha? What's the message for the community? Right. So we had the enlightened, personal enlightenment was the beauty way and the sweat lodge. The Dharma, the spiritual teaching, is the sacrifice, the blade, and the curse. And then now the Sangha is, what's the message for our community? And it was water reversed. Interesting. And this was number 61, water reversed. So let me just turn it around so that you know what the card itself looks like. Okay. Water. All right, so water reversed. To me, water reversed is it's an inward, this is inward. We have to go inward. It's reversed. It's not upright coming out, external, it's reversed going in. And we might have to look at things upside down, right? What have we been told is the history of this country? We might have to look at it upside down, like the hangman. Things are in reverse. Now, when we look at the chart for America, Mars, natal Mars of this current government is in Gemini. Gemini means two, one twin and a reverse twin. So when I looked at that in the seventh house of relationships, of how Mars energy is being utilized, passion, courage, bravery, externalized, jump into action, heroic energy, is being engineered twice. One, we show you what we want you to see on the outside. And then inside, it's reversed, and it's like a shadow government. To me, anyway. I hope I don't get in trouble saying that. But Mars, there's two Mars. The good Mars, whoops, and the upside down. And the upside down Mars. So we'll look at that in a minute. But I thought this was really interesting. Water reverse. And water is about dissolving, clearing. And it also relates to the card of the blade. Do we have toxic emotions? If we do, we put the blade away and we heal it with the water. Emotions, clearing, cleansing. That's a Neptune. And what's the power of this year, 2022? It's Pisces. We're in the sun's in Pisces. It's going to conjunct Neptune. Neptune's in Pisces. Jupiter's in Pisces, followed by Saturn in Pisces. And next year, it's a major water vibration. 222, about love, nurturing the womb. And we have the sweat lodge, go back to the womb, water, be born again. Okay, so that was that reading. I was like, whoa, thank you, Mars. So let's everybody give a thanks to Mars. He was very happy to show up. He was very happy to say, oh, someone wants to know what I think. I'm like, that's right. Yes, we do. We need your help. We don't want to like push you away. You've got things to show us. Okay, so now I'm going to jump over into, let's see. Okay, I want to jump over into the chart. So I'm going to share my screen so we'll look at the chart together. And this is the first hello of many hellos. All right, so don't be alarmed by any of the too many symbols and too many lines. It's okay. We're going to start big and get a little bit smaller today. So the USA chart, July 4th, 1776, 510. This is what's called the Sibley chart that most astrologers use when talking about the United States. It is on the inside. The blue planets on the inside. Today, or when Pluto returned, he'll be here for a while, but they're calling it February 20th, 2022 at 2:21 p.m. Philadelphia again, Pennsylvania. And we find Pluto here, exact, right? And Pluto was when the USA government was, what am I trying to say? Formed, Pluto was retrograde. It had a karmic debt to pay to the collective. All right, and it was with the South Node. As far as in the house. So we have Pluto in Capricorn, South Node in Aquarius. And we're a very Aquarian type of country. But the North Node was in Leo. at the time in 1776, it was 6 degrees Leo. And 6 degrees Leo is right next to the discovery point of a asteroid called Cheroklo. And Cheroklo is the archetypal symbol of the wife of Chiron, the wounded healer. Cheroklo is a connection to the stars. Her Sabian symbol is the celestial heavens. Cheroklo brings the grace of compassion and healing. Grace and compassion and healing. When she was, when the United States government was formed, Cheroklo was 222 degrees Aquarius, right? And very interesting, right with the moon, the Aquarian moon of this country, right after, it was formulated right after a full moon. It's a waning gibbous moon. Okay, so that I found was very interesting. Since we're talking about Mars, let's look at Mars real quick, and then I'll start looking at how do we start to read the United States Sibley chart with the Pluto return of the United States 2022's chart. It's called a synastry chart when we put two charts together. So Mars, here's the symbol for Mars. Mars, when the United States government was formed, was 21 degrees Gemini in the 7th house of one-to-one relationships. So Mars in the 7th house is said to be in its fall, or not its fall, its detriment, because normally it rules the 1st house of Aries. So it's in the 7th house. So it's already in slightly weakened state. It's in Gemini, not too happy in the sign of Gemini. Really likes, it's okay, it's air. Air matches his natural energy of fire, but he's like, now there's two of me, right? Twins. And twins plays a big role in a lot of the esoteric energy of the United States government. Twins, Castor and Pollux, twins, Gemini is a lot of times has to deal with alchemy, Mercury, magician energy. So now we have Mars in the sign of the twins, 2 Mars, and one we see, one we don't see. All right. What's interesting to me is that Venus, the balancing point of Mars, is in her home house, the 7th house. She rules this house. So she's like, hello, I am here. I am the queen of this house. And Mars is holding court with me, but in a more weakened state. Now, Jupiter is in this, and Venus is in Cancer, which is nurturing, mother, protector, mama bear energy, like a really nurturing force. And in 2022, being a number 6 year, is also the year of the mother, the pregnant mother, right? The nurturer, the caretaker. Now notice this is Jupiter. Jupiter is in the sign of Cancer with Venus. So it's expanding this Venusian energy of the formulation of this dream of the country. And so a lot of times when the forefathers, the esoteric energy magic that they put into this government had a lot to do with female goddesses, right? Female goddesses. We have the Statue of Liberty. Providence was a goddess. They have, there's a lot of goddess energy woven in, and there's a lot of Isis energy woven in to the Masonic nature of this government. But the beautiful thing about Jupiter is it's exalted in the sign of Cancer. It is not only Big Daddy, but Big Granddaddy. And it's fueling the Venusian aspects of this country as we relate to each other and to the world at large. But this energy gets overshadowed by this false energy of the 2 Mars. One we see, one we don't, right? Now, the black moon is transiting with this Pluto's return. The black moon Lilith says, you know what? I come here and do shadow work. Oh, you government of the United States apparently have there's 2 of you, one we see, one we don't. My job is to show everybody the one you don't see. Isn't that nice? And she's the power feminine that is designed for one thing and one thing only, shadow work. What's there? What's really there? Let's uncover it. Let's uncover our fears. Let's release the shadow energy and transform it, transmute it into our power. So to me, Lilith appearing now, and she's as of Sunday the 22nd, she was 24 degrees Gemini. She has Aquarius energy woven into that because she's this third decan. So this is her shadow power at this time is fear of rejection, which is also fear of acceptance. And she works with her opposing force field, which is the shadow or fear of meaninglessness. So if you are dealing in relationship to self and others about the meaninglessness of what our current state of affairs is, and a lot of us have really had to come into contact with that energy through the 2020 lockdown period that's, just starting to release itself 2 years later. The meaninglessness of life. Things have changed. Things aren't going back. Things, which government is putting us forward with a secret agenda? Which government is putting us forward with agenda that they're saying, hey, these are ideas. Republic, do you agree or disagree? What do you have to say? And so we don't want to get too much into this vibration. Just I wanted you to see that. And also see that the balance point to the two governments, or the one we see, one we don't, is actually a bigger power. We just have to tap into it, right? And this is when you tap into the bigger power that's sitting there as a potential, it actually nullifies the two energies that are working, one in the dark and one in the light. It makes that it neutralizes it. It doesn't have to destroy it or tear it down. It just says, oh, you have no power. You have no power. And so with the cards, what they were saying is, walking the beauty way, that's a very Venus power. Jupiter, let's expand that beauty way and return to the womb, mother of Mother Earth. Rebirth yourself to rebirth this country. And we need to rebirth ourselves, because we may, from the Dharma saying, the curse that's on this country from all the karma, right? The suffering that has occurred on these soils, the blood that has been shed, the injustices, the unfairness, the unkindness, the cruelty, the killing, the murder of people, places, and animals, right? It's there. Watersheds and ecosystems, it's there. Poisoning the rivers, it's there, right? So what are we going to do with all that? Now, let's get back to the nature of Pluto. Pluto is about the soul. When we look at the nature or Pluto in your chart, we're looking at the gatekeeper of your soul. It's the last planet in our solar system that we know of so far, and extends out. It takes 18 to 20 years to go through one sign, right? So it is a force in itself. It's the ruler of a generation, of a collective agreement. So when we say, wow, Pluto's returning to the USA's chart, we're saying the collective agreement is returning and saying, how'd it go? What needs to change? What needs to be transmuted, transformed, rebirth, phoenix rising from the ashes? And so when we return Pluto to where it was when we were born, we have to take a look, well, what was the dream? What was the dream? Now, when I looked at the Celtic spirit teaching for today, it was the loss of a mythic place. And when you study the esoteric nature of, the Masonic founding fathers, and what was the dream of this new land, they referred to it as the New Atlantis. So there was a mythic, esoteric dream woven into those declarations for independence, these bills of rights, these personal liberties, where when you start looking around the world, most countries do not have that. And we have ownership at some level that says we're giving these unalienable rights. Now, we may look around and go, well, not everybody's getting access to that. or there's still injustice and inequality and suffering that's happening, needs to stop, needs to change. Yes, that is correct. It does. But how do we do it? So Pluto says, my power is I'm the soul, the gatekeeper, the collective agreement, right? I'm the one that comes collecting the karmic debts, right? Some might call it the Grim Reaper. Right? But Pluto is, to me, it's not only alchemy, but the whole system of alchemy, right? The four, Brooke brought up, the fours are showing up. There are 4 stages to alchemy. Negredo, the blackening, right? What needs to be is being shifted. It's like the dark night of the soul. Then there is the albedo, the whitening. And Mars is very much connected to the whitening, which is like turning it into salt, right? We blacken it, burn it, and then it whitens and turns to salt. And the third is stage of alchemy is the citronous, is the yellowing, right? It's returning it to the sulfur. What are we restoring it, recalibrating it to? And then it goes into the rubedo. Rubedo is the reddening, right? Which is rebirthing itself, new life, new blood, new life force. So, so Pluto is saying that, okay, I've come to regenerate this dream, this collective agreement. And so what we want to do internally with the first teaching or the first guidance was beauty way, the internal and personal enlightenment, your beauty way and the sweat lodge. What needs to be purified through focusing a daily practice on identifying what is beautiful in your life, in your environment. You can go out and bring beauty into the home. Where can you share beauty or see beauty all around you, in front of you, behind you, to the left, to the right, above and below, center. So that's walking the beauty way. So Pluto's saying, first and foremost, to regenerate the dream, it begins with you and it begins with me. If you resonate with the card reading, it says beauty way. Let's first give it a shot, right? And Pluto is the higher octave of Mars, correct? So interesting. I know, right? Isn't it, Brooke? Yes, Pluto and Mars, their relationship is they both co-rule the sign of Scorpio. And in essence, you could say that Pluto is related to the energy of Mars. I have to think about that one, because when we look at Venus is and Neptune are in an octave, meaning Neptune is the higher vibration of Venus. Now, is Pluto the higher vibration of Mars? I would say that that's a pretty good guess, yes. Because Pluto is power and Mars is power, right? It's activating power, right? It's that masculine, that drive, that yang. Let's do it. Let's run into the burning building because we're heroes, right? And Pluto is, I'm the shapeshifter. I alchemize. I transmute to transform, transmute. So to regenerate, that to me, Pluto is saying, I am the force of alchemy in its 4 stages. Now, there's 3 elements, salt, sulfur, and I'm gonna get in trouble, salt, sulfur, the other one. And then there's 7 stages. So 4 processes, 7 stages, 3 elements. But anyway, we don't have to break down the the alchemy just yet, but just know that that's Pluto's job. What wants to be regenerated? So part 1 is, let's get very simple, and especially when working with the power or the science of the practice of alchemy, is the sun and the moon, right? The solar pillar, the lunar pillar, right? Solar, sun, outward, inner, moon, silver, inner. So we have the gold and the silver. So when we look at the USA chart, we know that the sun, July 4th, is in Cancer. So the externalized power of this government sits in the vibration of Cancer, nurturing, mother, caretaking, family, We've got Jupiter expanding it, exalted. We've got Venus. We've got Mercury in Cancer. Very interesting. We have, let's see, part of fortune is in Cancer and the North Node's in Leo. So we have like a big power of Cancer. So this is a very feminine, nurturing mother, family country. That's its essence. That's its first externalized dream, right? And then we go to the moon, and the moon is in Aquarius. This family, moon rules Cancer too. So it looks to the energy of Cancer and sees all its family members, Venus, Jupiter, Sun, Mercury, part of fortune, and goes, wow, look at that one big happy family, and says, I'm in Aquarius. And Aquarius is, in order to experience the joy of the dream, we share it amongst each other. We see each other as equals. So the moment this government declared war on the indigenous people, it started turning the dream in on itself into a nightmare. The moment this United States government sanctioned that it was okay to enslave and bring people to this country, to enslave them and treat them as 1/3 of a human being, it turned the dream into a nightmare in on itself. So look at the curse energy that has, just in those two examples, there's lots more. So the moon says, wait a minute, I just was a full moon in Capricorn a couple days ago, probably on July 2nd, right? I am now in 27 degrees Aquarius. What the hell happened? I want to be here. I want to express my inner dream of this beautiful mythic place in the energetic of Aquarius. Now, in order to do that, those who have moon in Aquarius, you have to be able to detach at a certain level. Why? So that you can come back into a neutral place to see things through the eyes of equality, to see things through, I have so much abundance, Cancer, that I can make a meal and break bread together. I can share what I have. This is more of a cooperative dream for a group of people living together and sharing their backgrounds, their cultures, their foods, their ways of living, their ideas, right? This is idealism. So that in itself is a really powerful gold and silver. And we even think of that song, friends are gold or friends are silver, like, what's that, gold and silver? One's new, one's old, but they're both wonderful, right? That children's song. Okay, so I just wanted to show that. Now let's go to the moon and sun at the beginning of this return of Pluto to regenerate what's possible as a mythic place with a dream from the stars that's based on compassion, kindness, love, seeing each other as equals, being heart to heart and hand to hand as a group of souls that want to make this dream a living reality. All right. Now, the sun on the return of Pluto was 2 degrees Pisces. So it had just passed the natal Pluto, or the natal moon, a couple of days before, probably right around February, might have even been the 16th, probably the 16th, on that full moon in Aquarius, or full moon in Leo, right? So it just, on the 16th. So the sun was creating a new cycle with that last full moon on the natal internal structure of what's possible as a living dream of this country. So a new cycle began on that full moon in Leo. So let's go back February 16th and review what was happening that day. And wasn't there a Venus-Mars conjunction that day? Meaning the feminine and the masculine also creating a new cycle internally as well as externally. So the gender war vibration of the separation between the masculine and the feminine is saying that's over. So don't give it any more energy, right? The patriarchy, the matriarchy, that's shifting. So we have to keep up with the times, keep moving and growing and changing and shifting. So we had that occur on the full moon. So we'll go back. Maybe I'll do the Pluto return chart with the full moon chart, see what that was saying, as well as the United States chart with that last full moon. Okay, so we had that conjunction of the current sun with a dream, what's possible, and and I believe the Leo full moon was many birds on a branch, meaning we can live together and be one. That's the dream. Okay, so let's go to the moon. Now, the moon on the return of Pluto on February 20th was in Libra. Oh, interesting. Libra, right next to Spica. Oh, interesting. So Libra, again, that pulls us back into the seventh house of this chart, where we have the shadowed, the twinned Mars, one you see, one you don't see. We have the Venus in Cancer, the nurturing goddess, and Jupiter exalted, the king of this big grand family. So we have the moon in Libra occulting or merging onto the goddess of marriage, right? So the goddess of marriage, Juno, was in Libra at the time of this 1776. So the internal landscape is merging, bringing that union of the goddess of sacred marriage, sacred contract. Those souls born in this country are saying, you have come with a sacred contract to live here for a specific reason, to merge harmoniously together. Like, it's possible that some of the souls, or maybe all the souls born to this country over the last 247 years, have a contract to live together in harmony, right? So if we have not been living in harmony together, then we have karma. We have cause and effect. We have to clear and clean the karma. That's what one of Pluto's jobs is. I come to not only regenerate, but how do I do that? By clearing karma, right? So I get into this whole other philosophy I'm working out, but there is an aspect of the nature of our physical form. As a soul that is embodying this physical form, we're calling the earth body, I'm calling it the 3D version of the earth body. The body in the physical 3D world, in some respects, is the only part of our soul that reincarnates or incarnates into the physical form for a specific reason. And that specific reason is to clear karmic debris. So if you are sitting here with me in a body, there is an aspect of your soul that has come with a specific person to clear karmic debris. Isn't that cool? But we can do it through joy. We could do it through pleasure. We could do it through happiness, right? That's the ultimate elixir for clearing karma, is to clear it with joy, love, and beauty. Isn't that something? So we're here to make an inner shift. This is what this alignment is saying. The moon on Juno. Juno is marriage or sacred agreement in harmony, Libra, with your internal landscape. So again, going back to that, what's the personal enlightenment wisdom is that beauty way and the sweat lodge. Sweat out those impurities, right? We're in the blackening stage. We got to sweat this stuff out. So if you like to run or sweat or exercise, or maybe you're lucky enough to have an invitation to a sweat lodge or go into a sauna, sweat it out, run it out, move it out. Because the Sangha card was water, purifying, dissolving, rebirthing, cleansing. When you take a shower, you're cleansing your skin. When you drink water, you're cleansing, you're helping your cells release toxins, right? So the moon is saying you are destined moving forward as a member, if you live in this country, as a member of this country, to hold a bigger harmonic agreement that says, I find harmony wherever I go because I have decided to come into inner alignment with harmony. And how do I do that? I begin the process of clearing karmic debris, right? And the curse card was saying it's in our lineage. It's in our history. It's in our soil. It's the land you live on. Where do you live in this country? Who are the indigenous people? What's the history of your city? What took place here, right? You know, where I live, there's still redwood trees that were here before the government was formed. So I go talk to them and I say, what was it like here before all this happened? And how to, you know, what's your guidance for recalibrating it? So another thing that really helps us with clearing the karmic debris, not only in our bloodlines of our lineage, but our soul comes in and says, I want to clear some karmic agreements of maybe I was here in another time and I didn't make such great choices. I'd like to clear that, please. And sometimes those come along in our one-to-one relationships where you're like, okay, what's happening in this one-to-one relationship, whether it's a romantic, business, a friendship, and things go awry, right? Things come to an end and we're like, okay, what happened, right? Was there a karmic agreement in place here? I always like to ask that question now because it helps kind of move out of like, what could I have done differently? Maybe that wasn't even the agreement. Let's start there. But as I've been researching this I've seen it on some other teachers that I really, really respect. I thought this was so interesting. They said that in order to create the inner shift is processing out the karmic density and debris. Why? To integrate buried and forgotten fragments of the soul that got lost here in all these incarnations of suffering. But they had said that we do have a modality that really helps us integrate, process, and clear karmic debris in a much more gentle and quick way. Guess what that is? I almost fell off my chair when I saw this. Tuning forks. I'm like, bang. Oh, that's why you had me create a course around how to use tuning forks? Oh, okay. All right, then. So that's going to be part 2. I'm going to talk about in the next live, or I'll bring it in at some point because you may have questions based on this live, but the power of using sound healing. And, I'm very skilled with the tuning forks because I've been studying it for a while, as well as sound healing, bowls, crystal bowls, but I like to use them all together. But those tuning forks get right to the point. And I use the meridians in the bodies, the chakra points, the meridian points, the acupuncture points to pinpoint on what I call, the meridians are like ley lines. And if there's a sacred crossing of meridians, that's a portal. And I put the tuning forks right on that portal because why? I want to transmute this karmic debris. I didn't come here for anything else other than I got a body. That means I have karmic debris. Okay, cool. I'm going to clear it. How? Oh, I got tuning forks. Oh, wait, I know how to use them. How did this even happen? So just leaving that there for you to look at later. I'll post links to take a look at the course. I call it tuning forks for starseeds, but I really should just say tuning forks for anybody. But the beauty of that course is what came through as I was creating it. And I was creating it with the dolphin mindset. Is there's 5 healing timelines. I did not realize what was being created was 5 healing karmic timelines. And how to because I was trying to say, starseeds, I want you to feel at home here on this planet by reconnecting you to the stars so that you can integrate your mission while you're here on the planet and raise the frequency. That was really my thought system. But now with the Pluto return frequency, I was like, but at the same time, you're clearing karma. And then as the more we clear karma as citizens of this particular country with a particular dream, because it's a mythic place, it's Turtle Island, for goodness sakes. The lost part of Atlantis. Let's be merging, clearing our inner landscape so that we can embody the dream right here, right now, through multiple avenues. And I'm so excited to hear what you all have to say about that. So here's that Pluto return. Today, we just want to look at the sun and the moon, what's happening. So new cycle, like a new moon. merging with the goddess of partnership, sacred contracts, and agreements for being here in this country. Now, notice one other thing. The Juno and Saturn. Saturn is right at home in the 10th house. He rules the 10th house. He's actually exalted in the sign of Libra. And who is Saturn and what does Saturn do? Saturn is the boss. He can like set your crown chakra to a place where you can be your greatest. This is, you know, how they say in the sports world, the GOAT, greatest of all time. This is greatest of all time. So this is giving you wisdom and guidance to be the greatest of all time in healing these karmic conditions by coming into right relationship with self, the moon, innermost self, so that you can have harmonic relationships with everything and everyone you meet. And then you become the ultimate tuning fork that's recalibrating the world, your neighborhood, your land, your home, your people, your community, wherever you go, right? And people are really going to invite you to their parties because they're like, why does it always feel good when that person shows up? Well, because they've been doing the work. They've been putting in the blood, sweat, and tears to get to harmony. That's why. So that's the first hello. Thank you for joining to the Pluto's return of the USA chart. What we did was we said hello to the dream of what's the potential of what's possible when everyone is equal and balanced and working together, sharing, caring, nurturing a big, wonderful family. But first, the work to do is clearing the karmic debris, which each of us holds in our bloodlines. You as a soul have some type of soul agreement to be born in this country for a specific reason. And I love the Lunar Ladies community because we're all healers here. We all have gifts. It's amazing. I'm always like jaw on the floor. I see you all sharing from your places of empowerment. So beautiful. And remember, 2022 is the year of the healer. It's 6. It's nurturing. It's divine feminine wisdom. It's the mother. What's the true essence of this government is a mother government. It's nurturing, family oriented. There's enough. There's so much food. So we're looking at clearing the past karmic curses. We don't want to keep them going by not healing our own internal emotional toxic energy. Right? We want to clear that first through the beauty way, the sweat lodge, tuning forks. Right? That's what I'm called. I'm like, dang, I'm just not gonna ever let that tuning fork out of my hand now. Putting it on all the time until it's clear. Right? We have water. That's the sangha. That's the medicine for the community. So clearing, dissolving, cleansing, purifying. Drink lots of water as you do your medicine work, your healing work. We're looking at, those who have been hurt the most in this country and going back, and we have the African people who were our ancestors who were brought here, against their will and treated with cruelty and inhumanity. We're clearing that. Then we have to keep going. We have to keep going to the indigenous people who was here already flourishing, happy, didn't need any help from us, right? This European entourage that arrived, there's lots of clearing there, still happening to this day, for different forms of genocide and imprisonment, right? We call them reservations. There is, of course, good things happening, but what we can do individually is get to know who are the people of the homes where we live, what's the history of our cities, our towns, and go all the way back to the native people, the indigenous people. Who was the tribe? What was their language? What was their culture like? Who are they? Do they still live there? Get involved. Say hello. How can I help? What can I, and learn. And again, a lot of times when I was really into the DAPL, the Dakota Access Pipeline, and a lot of that's still happening. But with all good things get infiltrated. So you're like, dang it, can they do it? It's a secret government. At it again. So, but we want to say hello to that space. I know I live here in the San Francisco Bay Area. There's a wonderful Native American community that's rematriating the land, right? And they have the land trust, and you can donate in the form of a land tax to the local Ohlone, coastal Miwok, the Lijan, the Miwok Ohlone, is it the Ohlone? Huh? What? Drawing a blank. But they're awesome. They're the shell mound people. Where I live in Alameda, they excavated shell mounds here. They're still finding bone fragments of the indigenous people. This was a burial place. So lots of healing to take place. And how do we do that? We do that right where we live. It adds to the greater beautiful wellness space, right? So you don't have to do it all by yourself. Join with others who are already doing it. Learn from your elders, right? From the land itself, the rocks, the trees. Been here a long time. They can tell you lots. Spend time in nature, right? This is how we, and the easiest way is follow the beauty, walk the beauty way. What's beautiful in front of you, what's beautiful behind you, what's beautiful to your left, to your right, above and below you. And you yourself are beautiful too. So add that to the mix, right? And share with us what you discover. Share with us some of the indigenous history of where you live. I want to know, like, who are the people? What were they like? What did they do? What was their joy? What was their happiness? Bring it back. Say hello to that. Activate it again. The land is ready. And Pluto's power is regeneration by clearing karma. And if we're in a body, a 3D earth body, there's karmic debris to clear. So we don't have to be sad about that. We can be glad, right? Like, woohoo, I got one to clear. I'm a hero, right? So you all are rainbow warriors, healers, and heroes, because you were lucky enough to win the lottery, get a body that has some karmic debris from the lineage, get to clear it through happiness and joy, and sharing that with others by doing the inner calibration, the inner soul Pluto return within the self, especially if you live in this country. If you don't live in this country, share with me what's going on in your country. There's lots going on. And maybe this is like a methodology we apply all over the world. And then, of course, when we find our own inner harmony, we can then feel resourced to move our healing energy out to others, or in support as well as help. So thank you, everybody, for watching. I will be back with another edition of Pluto's return of the USA chart. I haven't set a number on how many parts there is to it, but there'll be plenty. So please let me know what your questions are. Thanks for being here live and adding your good energy. And then, of course, thank you for watching the replay and adding your good energy there. So just comment, let me know your questions and things you're curious about for the next time. All right. Have a wonderful 222 day. Bye for now.